Greetings from New York City, CMQ investors. Thanks for checking in. In this video, you will learn why I believe that SBF could be getting a life sentence. You guys know how much I absolutely despise Sam Bankman-Fried.
My name is Sam, and this is my story.
My name is Sam, and this is my story. SBF, you're a scam artist piece of shit. F*** you.
So much so that I actually made a song this weekend just making fun of him. It should make you laugh if you enjoy the humor of this channel.
I'm a big fat vegan, it's Bankman. You deposited money thinking it.
SBF has been on a personal PR mission to try to change the narrative about what exactly transpired with the fraud that he's been pulling since pretty much he started FTX. And this is not my allegations. This is what the SEC has said, and it's something that will come out in court. Two of his top people have already told the government that they'll cooperate. I like to go straight to the source. So we will review exactly what two of SBF's top lieutenants told the government about what they did and what they were instructed to do under SBF's leadership. Two specific admissions of guilt, one from one of the co-founders of FTX, Gary Wang, and then SBF's boo thing,
You're my boo thing.
Ellison, who was the CEO of Alameda Research, which basically was taking FTX customer deposit money, and then Bankman would use that money to do whatever he wanted with. I hate this guy. I don't like people that rip people off for their savings, who pretend to be one thing, when in reality they're the exact opposite of that. And that's my reading of SBF. So this is from Gary Wang, and here's what he said. Between 2019 and 2022, he was directed and agreed to make certain changes to the platform's code. Now, I will jump in here, by the way. I'm not just going to read this verbatim. That would be a waste of your time. I'll explain a little more of the details here as we get into it. He says he executed these changes, which he knew would give Alameda Research special privileges on the FTX platform. He says he did so knowing that others were representing to investors and customers that Alameda had no such special privileges, and people were likely investing in and using FTX based in part on those misrepresentations. If you and I want to go do a startup together, let's say we're raising a Series B, and we go and we tell our investors, here's how we're doing, here's our financials, here's what our game plan is. We have to show them everything. That's our duty. For the case of FTX, they were not revealing the true nature of how the business was operating. SBF was taking money from FTX, meaning customers' money, moving it over to Alameda, because Alameda had this line of code basically that allowed them to take as much money as they wanted to without needing to pay it back with any interest or ever, for that matter, and then doing whatever he wanted with it. If you're like a bank and you take customer deposits and you go do something else with it that the customer was not made aware that that would be happening, well, that's called misappropriation of funds or customer funds, which is fraud. There's no way around it. I mean, this dude's going down. Gary Wang says he knew what he was doing was wrong. He also knew that misrepresentations were being made by telephone and internet, among other means, and that assets traded on FTX included some assets that U.S. regulators regarded as securities and commodities. Again, securities fraud. Have fun, SBF, answering to that. Now let's look at what his boo thing, aka his baby girl, Ellison, let's look what she had to say. This is funny too, because she starts to talk. The court, probably the judge, interrupts her and says, I'm going to ask you to speak very slowly. She's probably like, talks like SBF. She's like, or Kathy Wood, who speaks in tongues. She's like, by the way, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, man. We, focus on trying to uncover the truth so we can be better investors and we can see things and behave more rationally. CMQ stands for compound money quietly. That's, to me, one of the mantras. That's how you build wealth. That's how you build generational wealth. Tuning out all the BS and focusing on what actually works, not just because I think it works, but because it's proven to work. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And here's what Caroline said. She says from approximately March 2018 through November 22, she worked at Alameda Research, which was a cryptocurrency trading firm principally owned by Sam Bankman-Fried, aka the Big Fat Vegan. Make sure to stick around for that song. From 2019 through 2022, she was aware that Alameda, so pretty much from the existence of FTX, from the beginning anyway, she was aware that Alameda was provided access to a borrowing facility on FTX.com. I understood that FTX executives had implemented special settings on Alameda's FTX.com account that permitted Alameda to maintain negative balances in various fiat currencies and cryptocurrencies. So that's something that Gary Wang helped facilitate in the code. In practical terms, this arrangement permitted Alameda access to an unlimited line of credit. And again, the credit was coming from customer deposits. That money that they would take was customer money, without being required to post collateral, without having to pay interest on negative balances, and without being subject to margin calls or FTX.com's liquidation protocols. I understood that if Alameda's FTX accounts had significant negative balances in any particular currency, it meant that Alameda was borrowing funds that FTX customers had deposited onto the exchange. Ding, 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 ding. Bankman-Fried is going down. He might never see the light of day. when this is all said and done, which is why I think he's seemingly going rogue and trying to create his own narrative, because it's his only chance. His only chance. I don't see how he doesn't do the rest of his adult life in prison. I mean, this is a huge fraud. It's not just like, oh, hey guys, I was just trying to do so much good. I don't know what happened. I mean, this dude is a bad guy, in my opinion, a very bad guy. And I don't say that about a lot of people. I try not to be like black and white about everything. Like everyone, oh, it's all good or it's all bad. You know, there's always a lot of gray in life, but this is a bad dude. While I was co-CEO and then CEO, and this is Caroline Ellison again, I understood that Alameda had made numerous large illiquid venture investments and had lent money to Mr. Bankman-Fried and other FTX executives. Hundreds of millions of dollars, by the way, was lent. I also understood that Alameda had financed these investments with short-term and open-term loans with several $1 billion from external lenders in the cryptocurrency industry. When many of these loans were recalled by Alameda's lenders in and around June 2022, I agreed with others to borrow several $1 billion from FTX to repay these loans. That's several $1 billion of customer deposits. Not meant to be for this. I understood that FTX would need to use customer funds to finance its loans to Alameda. I also understood that many FTX customers invested in crypto derivatives and that most FTX customers did not expect that FTX would lend out their digital asset holdings and fiat currency deposits to Alameda in this fashion. She says that most didn't expect this. Who did expect this? I'm curious. That's an interesting statement. Not to distract from the real point here of this is a huge fraud. From in and around July of 2022 through at least October of 2022, I agreed with Mr. Bankman-Fried and others to provide materially misleading financial statements to Alameda's lenders. Boom. In furtherance of this agreement, we prepared certain quarterly balance sheets that concealed the extent of Alameda's borrowing and the billions of dollars in loans that Alameda had made to FTX executives and to related parties. I mean, again, lock them up. I also understood that FTX had not disclosed to FTX's equity investors that Alameda could borrow a potentially unlimited amount from FTX, thereby putting customer assets at risk. I agreed with Mr. Bankman-Fried and others not to publicly disclose the true nature of the relationship between Alameda and FTX, including Alameda's credit arrangement. So again, Sam Bankman-Fried wants to act like, I just wasn't paying attention. It was just, so busy. It's a bunch of BS. Meanwhile, SBF wants to put out Substack posts and try to shift the narrative and make it, how he's the advocate of the customer. It's absolute nonsense. So subscribe if you haven't already, and I appreciate you for watching this video.
Hey, this is SBF, and look, I just want to express myself through music. So, this is my first song. Here goes. They call me SBF. I don't wear SPF. I swim with my t-shirt on. My nipples the size of $50.
But where's the money, Sammy?
I don't know.